Today, we will be discussing from chaos to coordinated care, preparedness, response, PPE, and decontamination in disaster nursing. Disaster preparedness minimizes impact on individuals and communities, and the entire response ecosystem rests on the nurse executing three critical functions: early recognition, identifying covert threats and outbreaks before they escalate; quick response, activating protocols and coordinating resources without delay; and maintaining safety, creating a secure barrier between the threat and the vulnerable. Community contingency planning demands targeted logistics for vulnerable populations. The mandate is clear. Contingency plans must guarantee access to specialized evacuation procedures and uninterrupted life-sustaining resources for these groups. They cannot be an afterthought in the planning process. Chemical, biologic, and radiologic weapons don't announce themselves, so early detection depends on watching for four anomalies: symptom spikes, sudden increases in fever, respiratory, or GI complaints; rapid deterioration, exceptionally high fatality rates within 72 hours of admission; location clusters, identical illness originating from a single geographic point; and demographic shifts, entirely new disease patterns emerging in a previously healthy population. Triangulating the threat means taking a targeted history across three domains: occupational history, job description, seasonal work, military service; environmental history, current and past home locations, water source, household exposures and hobbies; and admission history, recent travel, especially international, sick contacts, and exposure to known fatal illnesses. Comprehensive history taking is a diagnostic weapon. Overlapping these data points is what pinpoints the exact exposure. Material safety data sheets are the critical reference for identifying and treating chemical exposures, and they feed a communication lifeline running to infection control, poison control, the state health department, and the CDC. Immediate reporting serves two vital functions. It fuels large-scale epidemiologic surveillance, and it directly prevents further exposures and deaths. COVID-19 taught adaptive vigilance the hard way. Early assumptions suggested children were largely unaffected by SARS-CoV-2. Later discovery proved otherwise, with the emergence of MIS-C, multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children, severe inflammation triggering simultaneously across the heart, lungs, kidneys, brain, and GI tract, requiring prompt specialized care. PPE follows the EPA's Armor Matrix, with OSHA 2017 fit testing requirements applying throughout. Level A is full encapsulation with SCBA, maximum respiratory and skin protection. Level B is a chemical-resistant suit with SCBA, high respiratory protection, lesser skin protection. Level C, primary hospital use, is an air-purifying respirator with chemical-resistant coveralls, gloves, and boots. Level D, also primary hospital use, is standard scrubs with minimal protection. Hospitals primarily operate in C and D. Respiratory defense comes down to two very different tools. The N95 respirator filters 95% or more of airborne particles, providing true airborne protection, but it must be rigorously fit tested and replaced after each use or when damaged or soiled. The surgical mask only deflects splashes and large droplets, offering zero reliable airborne protection. It's used strictly per CDC guidance for non-airborne threats. The goal of decontamination is removing or neutralizing contaminants to prevent secondary exposure, and every facility plan needs defined procedures, education, equipment, and disposal methods. Step 1. In the hot zone, remove all clothing and jewelry, then rinse with water. Step 2. In the warm zone, wash thoroughly with soap and water, followed by a final rinse. Beware the walking wounded. Never assume pre-hospital decontamination was completed for patients who arrive on their own, because an undecontaminated arrival immediately compromises the whole facility. Preparedness is an unbroken chain. Awareness, continuous monitoring for unusual disease patterns and covert threats. Communication, prompt reporting of exposures to fuel intelligence. Protection, correct utilization and fit testing of PPE, and action, strict adherence to multi-step decontamination. Safe protection enables safe decontamination, which allows accurate assessment and reporting, which in turn feeds systemic awareness right back into the loop. Chaos is the inevitable baseline of any disaster. The nurse's calm, informed presence, executing systematic recognition, protection, and response, is the ultimate tool that transforms that chaos into coordinated, life-saving care. To bring it all together, detection starts with recognizing unusual outbreak patterns, clusters of similar symptoms or high fatalities within 72 hours, paired with a targeted exposure assessment across occupational, environmental, and travel history. Protection runs through the EPA's PPE Levels A through D, knowing an N95 filters 95% of airborne particles, while a surgical mask only protects against splashes. And every exposure triggers immediate reporting to Infection Control, the State Health Department, and the CDC, alongside the two-step decontamination process: remove and rinse, then wash thoroughly with soap and water. Detection, protection, decontamination. That's the full chain that keeps both patients and providers safe.